What's up, friends? Welcome back to another episode of the Daily Dose. We're continuing our journey through the book of Nehemiah today. In our larger journey through the book of the Bible, we're on day number 204 of our Bible reading plan, and we're going to be looking at Nehemiah 4 through 6 today, as well as Psalm number 4. So, let's see what we are getting into. All right, so today our scripture opens up with a section that talks about opposition to the rebuilding, okay? We've seen some opposition in the past in similar stories as this, right? But essentially what we've got going on here is the Sumerian leaders. They were criticizing the wall. They were making fun of the Jews. They were ridiculing them, just being rebel-rousers, right? The Sumerians decided to basically mount an attack against Jerusalem. Now, Israel finds out about this. Israel finds out. Tisk, tisk. Shame on you, Sumerians. All right, so basically, the Israelites that are there in Jerusalem working on rebuilding, they divide the workers in half, right? So half of the workers are, continuing to do their work. The other half of the people that were workers are dressed for battle, right? They are standing guard. They've got weapons, and they are ready to go in case there's any sort of a threat, right? And now I'm going to pick up with just a few verses that speak in this section before we move on to the next section. It says, "So we continued the work with half the men holding spears, from the first light of dawn till the stars came out. At that time I also said to the people, have every man and his helper stay inside Jerusalem at night, so they can serve us as guards by night and as workers by day. Neither I nor my brothers nor my men nor the guards with me took off our clothes. Each had his weapon, even when he went for water." So here they're basically saying that, hey, we were always prepared, right? We didn't even let our guard down completely at night and get undressed. We even went to bed dressed, just in case we got, the trumpet wake-up call that, hey, the enemy's coming. We've got to get up and go to battle. So the next section we read about in today's scripture is about Nehemiah helping the poor in particular, okay? So apparently around this time, people were taking advantage of each other. There was some sort of a famine going on, it appears, and people were, lending and borrowing, and there were super high interest rates going on and increased taxes. There were just a number of things going on that, especially during troubling times, would have kind of been looked at almost like price gouging, that sort of thing. So Nehemiah ends up calling out these people that were taking advantage of the poorer people. He calls them out, and they relent. They realize, hey, we messed up. We need to stop doing this. This isn't right. So then we read that Nehemiah was appointed governor on behalf of the Persians, right? So the Persians were kind of the controlling world power. They took out the Babylonians. Now the Persians are in power, and they had appointed Nehemiah sort of as this governor, this political head, if you will, right, in the area of Jerusalem. He had a daily allotment of food that he shared with the people, right? So because he was technically kind of an employee of the state, so to speak, he was acting as a Persian governor. They would provide him with a supply, an allotment of supplies, I should say, and it was quite a bit of stuff. So we read that he ended up taking a lot of that, most of it, if not all of it, and sharing it with the people, right? Spreading it out to help the people out. The next section we move into talks about further opposition of the rebuilding, right? So we've already read about some opposition. Now there's some more opposition that's about to take place. So apparently Israel's enemies were trying to get them to meet in a neutral village, right? They were like, hey, we need to talk. Come meet with us. And Nehemiah kept saying no. He wasn't having that. He wasn't trying to get involved in their drama, apparently. So these enemies of Nehemiah and these enemies of the Jews, they start spreading rumors and making all of these like unfounded accusations against Israel, just stirring the pot basically, right? These enemies of Israel hired a prophet, right? A prophet, wink, wink, a false prophet of some sort, to give false prophecy to Nehemiah. So it's all part of a ruse. So they get this guy to pretend like he's a prophet and to go up to Nehemiah and prophesy this stuff, and they're trying to basically pull the wool over Nehemiah's eyes. Nehemiah doesn't fall for it though, so that's cool. If you want to know exactly what happens there, jump in and read it for yourself. I'm not going to give it away. And then the last section we read about is opposition to the completed wall. Okay, so apparently, when the wall gets completed, there is still opposition that's going on. And starting in, where are we at here? This is going to be, I think this is verse 16 of chapter 6, I believe. But it says, when all of our enemies heard about this, all the surrounding nations were afraid and lost their self-confidence because they realized that this work had been done with the help of God. So, when all of the people kind of opposed the completion of the wall, I think that partly it was their anger and jealousy and maybe fear, like all balled together, because we read here that they realized, hey, the only way that the Israelites could have done such a big undertaking in such a relatively small amount of time is that God was working for them and with them and providing. So that's what we got for today, y'all. I encourage you to jump in and read it for yourself, see how God speaks to you through his word today. So I'll leave it at that. And hey, until we meet again, thanks for being here. Appreciate your time, and deuces.